Welcome back. We're into Group C because here at TaKeTV we do it in reverse. Huh?
The
Sure.
C stands for second.
I like that one. Coming up first is going to be Snute versus Neeb. I don't remember the other people in the bracket, so I'll get to that later.
Don't worry, I remember. It's Cyril and Bjol. How could you forget Bjol?
Oh, thank you. I knew it was something. I knew it was some Zergs. It's always some Zergs. So that leaves Neeb's the only non-Zerg, only Protoss here. Hope he wins some games.
Oh.
Yeah. In the bottom right, as the red Zerg, it is Liquid Snute.
And in the bottom left, we have the blue Protoss player. Give it up for Ting's Neeb. Yeah, they really made the whole camera follow thing look a lot worse.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's so jaggedy now.
Yeah, and did you have the I'm beginning the camera twist lock a lot lately. Like you'll twist it one way or the other to do the fancy intros, and it'll just lock in that same place.
I don't know, because my XSplit has been broken, as I've told you many times before now. And I have not been able to cast anything since I got back from DreamHack Austin.
Yeah, I guess there's that. Well, just be careful then if you ever twist.
Just like my doctor told me.
Oh. Well, oh man. I think I might be getting a canker sore. I mean, like, downing lemonade, which I usually do. But maybe because I've also just been like, I bit my cheek earlier. I know, how do you bite your cheek? Ooh. Well, it happened to me.
No, biting your cheek happens. I totally know that. Actually, no. I think it happens to me for different reasons, though. I feel like it happens to me whenever I am eating really unhealthy. And I can feel that I'm, like, my cheeks are getting fatter. Like, I'm becoming a chipmunk. So it just becomes more likely that I bite my cheeks.
Call me fat man? It's rude.
Yes. Yes, I did, Zombie Grub. That's exactly what I did.
No, okay, I don't...
What are you going to do about it?
Nothing, apparently. I don't quite get on board with that theory, but at least someone else bites their cheeks. So yeah, it's starting to hurt a little bit. We got a lot of series still to come. I mean, 5 series, all best of 5 in this group, and then there's 2 more groups to get through after this. That's a lot of games. And Neeb versus Snute, I feel like is gonna go to game 5 or game 4 at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One nice thing, at least, to note is that the players themselves will not be playing all day. They basically have to play their one group. They have to know what time they have to show up at, and then they're pretty much good to go. It's still a kind of long day of 4 or 5 hours, but it's a reasonable amount of time for, I think, these kind of level pros to play.
Yeah. Well, that is different than last year. I kind of went over that before you joined, but just how, you know, like the whole long hours is still unideal. There's a big reason why tournaments have stopped trying to force out the most in as little time as possible, but they did definitely fix that problem. Because I know last year some of the players were even like question marking why it's taking so long and stuff like that.
Yeah, these 2 lings from Snute honestly getting a lot more value than I think Neeb was prepared for. Because his wall wasn't 100% complete. It's not that abnormal to send the 2 lings out and try and scout, but I think Neeb was hoping to cut them off with the Zealot and get out that Stalker in time. He planted his pylon on the far left-hand side of his main base to try and hide his Twilight Council. That's to try and prevent Overlords from moving in and easily scouting out what he's doing. But it does get scouted. It's still pretty normal play, but it always sucks as a Protoss player because you want to keep the Zerg player guessing.
Yeah. Going for the full 4 gateways. They're going to open 4 DTs at a time. Snute has an idea of this. When he scouted the Twilight Council, it wasn't researching, but he did not scout the Dark Shrine officially. I think he has an idea. No Spore Callers quite yet. Lair's only halfway done, but it will, I think, be in good enough time.
Yeah, I don't even know if he'll have to make Spore Callers for this. He could probably just make an Overseer. As long as he keeps an eye out on exactly where those DTs come in from. But, well, we're going to end up seeing Spore Caller coming down to the 3rd expansion anyways. And the main and the natural.
Yeah. Warp Prism on the way here. I said like 40 Ts instantly warped in, no waiting around before gateways. And he is going to use them as DTs first and foremost. Now the Spore Crawler might be done, but there's not a lot of reinforcements here. Up, Lings pop as I say it.
Well, and easily forced back. We're going to see the Archons being made. This is exactly the reason why I really wish more Zerg players to try and play it out a little bit greedier. Because so many Protoss players, they'll make the Spore Crawlers. Or sorry, the Zerg players will make the Spore Crawlers, and the Protoss player wasn't actually going to go in more than once to the DTs. So, I feel like 2 of the Spore Crawlers get like 0 usage, but either way, Snute does a nice job repelling this.
I think I saw a Zerg player yesterday try and do exactly what you talked about, and they didn't go with the natural, because they're like, one of the main, one of the third, a Newkirk, and there's no way he's going to go around. And then, like, it was Hearthstone, and Hearthstone got, like, 2 Warp Prisms with, like, a lot of DTs.
Hearthstone's funny. Yeah, that's true. That's actually a very good point. The double Warp Prism 8 DT drops have been a thing lately.
Well, Neeb messed up a little bit there. Lost an Archon. He is following up with a lot more gateways. Hasn't been building probes for, like, 1 or 2 rounds. And is getting blinks for Blink Stalkers. I think he's going to be super aggressive. He doesn't have any sentries, and he hasn't built any immortals. But it is a follow-up attack beyond the Dark Shrine can happen.
Yeah, it's also worth noting that Neeb has not killed many workers. In fact, he's only killed 2 drones, a handful of lings, and some roaches. But Snute, on a pretty low drone count, is really looking to get hyper aggressive. So Neeb getting a blink is going to be really helpful for the defense. But it looks like not even going to be able to use blink just yet.
That's
Doesn't
funny.
need it.
Yeah, they're both being aggressive, and they've cut around the same workers. I don't think this happens that often. As I said, there's no sentry, so it really is just pure Blink Stalker. No upgrades either, no forge. And it's going to backfire. He would much rather have had immortals against this Roach Ravager Ling all-in, I think, than just a handful of Stalkers.
Yeah, some good Blink Micro is going to keep some of these Stalkers alive, but definitely ends up losing quite a few. GG.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of things in that game didn't go that well for Neeb, though. You were talking about how the Warp Prism harassment wasn't going super well. He was cutting a lot of workers. And I even feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just like Neeb is kind of still warming up. He just like woke up or something pretty recently. I'm not too sure, but I even feel like his Blink Stalker micro, it's good. It's just not Neeb level. Like, he's still losing Stalkers like pretty quickly and everything. I don't know.
Yeah, that wasn't the cleanest game I've ever seen from Snute, or from Neeb. Snute had a very clean game on the flip side, and it did work out well for him to be getting aggressive as Neeb was.
Yeah.
But, I guess it's also worth noting that we did stay on the European server because multiple times Neeb has said that he just doesn't even feel really a difference.
Well, Neeb's practice schedule is wake up at a pretty early time because he's still used to that kind of schedule from school when he had to have to get up like early in the morning. So he just kept that sort of sleep schedule. He wakes up early, plays on Europe until it's late enough that he can go play on Korea.
What a guy.
He just ladders like 8 hours a day. It's actually insane.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. That's what he likes to do.
Wordy is saying Abyssal Reef has disappeared.
Is he the one making now? I thought Snute was making.
I think that Wordy was making, or wanted to make before, because he had trouble joining the lobbies or something. I'm not sure. He's in this lobby.
I'm distracted because my cat's playing with an earplug.
Your cat has been very, very attention-grabby today.
Yeah. You guys didn't hear when we were on break, but I had a slice of cake that I bought yesterday for my birthday. And she wasn't going to be said no to. She can't jump over the armrest on my chair. So what she does is she just barely like squeezes her head in and claws her way up my thigh, like from the front.
Oh.
She was quite eager after she saw that I was eating something.
Man. By the way, I don't think I realized this before, but I think you share birthdays with like Chobra and one or two other StarCraft people. I'm trying to remember who.
I don't know about the specific day, but definitely share the same birth month and around the same birthdays.
Because I saw people wishing, I think, Chobra happy birthday on Twitter yesterday. And one other person I can't remember, but, well, not a conversation for now.
Oh well. It is game number 2 in the top left. Is the red Protoss. He is Neeb.
And in the bottom right, we have the blue Zerg player, known as a macro player, going for a 12 pull. It's Liquid Snute.
Yeah, all right. You're right. He's really well known as a macro player. He was playing nothing but macro games yesterday to make it out of his group in second place. And I think Neeb's going to be quite surprised.
Yeah, this is, of course, one of those maps also that's very annoying for a pros player to do the wall off. I would not be surprised at all if Snute tried to run his link straight around to the third and move in from that angle, just because most pros players will wall off that natural expansion ramp pretty quickly. But Neeb is now realizing, okay, wait a second, there's still no natural. I need to check the main. He's going to move in, see not just the spawning pool, but also that there's no gas. And that does also leave questions of, okay, is this just going to be 6 lings and then taking a really quick hatchery? Or are you going to continue to flood and eventually take a hatchery?
Yeah, plans change just for the fact that Neeb scouted and Snute realized he was scouted, so. I'm actually just going to take the base and see what he can do here. Now, Neeb had already thrown on a Nexus by the time he figured, like, wait a second, there's no hatchery coming down here. And check, so unfortunately for him, Abyssal Reef, while it has one small ramp, there's another avenue into the base, so he's got to really protect both. That's going to require quite a few minerals.
Okay, well, full wall off goes up. And the Ling, surprisingly enough, for Snute, still going just through the front. I mean, I'm sure he would have expected. Oh, I don't know.
I thought it was going to be a GG.
I know. Right? Oh, his camera's bugged.
Did he?
Oh my god, set your camera to Snute's. He's permanently tilted.
Oh. I don't want to see.
And I don't mean like emotionally tilted.
Holy shit,
Yeah,
that's pretty bad.
His camera was sideways.
Well, I wanted to ask if he, because I was talking about that tilt bug earlier, the fact that you get locked in place, and I wondered, like, Snute would be the type of guy, you know, he's like along with like TLO, the type of guy that does interesting things in StarCraft. If he does use the camera spin, the swivels to see if there's a wall or not, because why else would that have happened?
I cannot imagine another reason. I mean, the insert and delete keys, by the way, for those who don't know, are the keys that you use to kind of swivel the camera around. And those are so far away from anything Snute would ever be pressing, even on accident. There's no way he did it, like, accidentally.
Yeah, I think that's what he does. Like, I don't... he probably is checking to see if it's really a wall. But that's interesting. I never really thought about it using it as a player. So he's asking, like, literally what happens when you default lock into a view, and I told him there's just no sure way of it. All I've had success with is spamming the reverse key. Like, if you swivel to the left, you swivel to the right, until it just eventually locks back in.
Like a seesaw, yeah. Really unfortunate this has been a bug lately. I think that plus the whole observer stuff has been really annoying. Where the observer camera is just like... You know what? I'm actually going to try something. Because there is a option in your gameplay stuff for smooth scrolling. And I wonder if that will actually help it.
I'm really curious.
You know
I don't know anything about that. Interesting.
It's where if you... So normally what it used to be is that if you click somewhere on the minimap, instead of just jumping to that location, it would actually do like a zoom all the way over there really quickly. And it would happen in like maybe a second or so. But most people disable it because they don't want to have to wait a full second to go to the place where they clicked on the minimap. I'm gonna try enabling that and seeing if that fixes things.
So,
Oh,
well, you've been, I guess, hypothesizing
yeah.
options. I just had my mind blown. I mean, I watch I used to watch streams like every single day as my TV. Now I watch streams every now and then, and I don't think I've ever really thought about it. I don't think I've seen anyone do it. But he does swivel his camera, and he brought it up that it's usually because it's EVT, and then it makes it easier to. Yeah, I guess I'll try and answer it. It's just so stupid. It's to try and when the SCV changes path, I guess it's easier to focus fire on it.
Oh.
Yeah, like you'll swivel to the right side when it moves over to the right side, so you don't accidentally keep clicking on I guess the command center or in like the wrong location. Because I've certainly had those moments where I'm like
Yeah.
barely not able to click on the SCV, but I've never thought about camera swiveling because well I use delete and an insert to swivel. I don't know what other people
Yeah.
use.
That's such a good point. Oh my god, my PvT scouting game just got up by like 7 degrees just now. I'm gonna be killing so many workers building those barracks.
Wow.
Oh man. So Snoot's gotta fix his camera during the game, it seems like. I actually man, I kinda wish that we had recovered to like 5 seconds earlier.
They might have to. I mean, they just let it go, or it did, because I don't think anyone had any opposition to that. But I don't think anyone would be really opposed to 5 seconds earlier either, because what changes? The gateway is still down, the lings are still running.
Yeah. Alright, here we go. 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna set my camera vision to Snoots. He's trying to fix it. He's trying to fix it. I'm gonna do play-by-play of him fixing it.
I'm doing. This is amazing.
It's still sideways.
Oh.
It's still sideways.
Oh, I fixed it.
Oh,
No,
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 oh.
no, Snoot, you had it.
No,
Almost.
he probably was just
Oh.
holding it down. Oh, it's like completely upside down.
He's literally just like not able to micro right now, but he's still
Hard
kind of
mode.
progressing a little bit. Oh.
Okay, I'm out. I'm out, tease.
Okay, I'm gonna keep it on there. He does
Oh
break
my
down the
God.
gateway wall in, but there's a zealot. All the probes have been pulled. I think this is just not gonna. Well, you know, he's actually not sitting too badly.
Okay, so that's the thing though, right? Like this wasn't dedicated enough with like speed and like I don't know, no hatchery that if it didn't work, he just taps it and says, "Well, that game sucked. Let's go on." But it's like one of those situations where maybe he could play this game out, but if he plays a super long macro game, it's going to be tilted the entire time.
Yeah, that is gonna be an enormous problem. I don't know if you guys have ever tried playing StarCraft Tilted. It is not easy. It's really, really weird.
Game paused.
And yeah, we are gonna finally pause it. Here's the really awkward thing, though, is that we just had Neeb effectively find out how many lings were gonna be following this up, and the fact that Snoot didn't continue to follow this up with more lings. So I almost wish that we had just done the resume from before the whole aggression played out, because now it's like I feel like some information has been revealed.
Yeah, I definitely should have been 5 seconds before the camera tilt, but it is what it is. I don't know if enough was revealed. I mean, it really was still the early game, and it really was still like, okay, you obviously had a Nexus down, you obviously had your gateways building. Nothing really changes from that.
That's true. And honestly, I don't even feel like at the end that Snoo was in that bad of a position. I feel like it was kind of an evened out game. Like, losing the gateway is sort of annoying. I think Neeb lost a handful of workers, but... oh well. What can you do?
Well, I was gonna take my time, I guess, using that email thing to tell him about it. But now that players are using it and they're having trouble, it might be more.
Well, hey, now you have video footage evidence of this being a problem.
Yeah, I took video evidence of the observer camera like stuttering as well.
What time do we resume to?
Uh,
130?
That's a good question. Did no one get the time?
All right. Well, Snoop's saying 125.
I don't think you can regame though. Like that's what's tricky. I think the
Yeah.
rewind doesn't really matter, but regaming would be obviously not in favor of Neeb.
Yeah. Well, potentially. Yeah. I think that it would not be in favor of Neeb to completely regame, but if you also resume from too early, it's actually pretty in favor of Neeb, because then he knows Snoot would have been committed to a 12 pool, and he would be able to prepare his Wallen even better. So it gets really iffy. You actually need like the exact time to start from. Everything okay?
I want someone to take Snoot's face and put it on that douchebag Fox reporter that's like, fuck it, I'll do it live.
Okay, we'll do it live. Okay, his camera's okay. I'm looking. His camera's okay now. And before he accidentally triggers it again out of habit,
Yeah,
just
right.
tilts the camera.
I know
Nice.
people have tried playing Upside Down before. Like it was like a fun tournament idea. I think someone like donated to Crank to do it once or something like that. So it's hard work.
Man. Okay, well, this is after the point that Neeb got all the scouting information that he would have had anyways. So it's actually a pretty good time to resume from. I think everything will proceed pretty much as it would have otherwise by this point. So Snute grabs his gas geyser, his lings flood across the map, and he's going to try and knock down this wall. And as we saw in that last attempt at this game, the gateways will go down pretty quickly.
Yeah. Rewind. So thermite score is on the way. Zealot will eventually pop out. And it's pretty similar.
Zella will pop out, but yeah, the gateway will go down almost immediately afterwards. This definitely cuts it really close, and even that cybernetic score is starting to get a little bit low. Neeb pulls his probes once again. He goes for the additional walling in, but I think this is going a lot better for Snute because he's able to micro this a lot better than last time.
Yeah, that's for sure. Decent from Neeb, though, does get a secondary wall off, and he knows there's not going to be that many lings following this up because it wasn't really dedicated. Speed's not about to kick in.
Oh.
Saves the Zealot
That's
even. Wow.
He does save the Zealot, but now the lings are in the main base, and this is the worst feeling as a Protoss player, is having lings just running around your main base. Even if they're slow lings, there's no mothership core on the way. There's an adept that's going to be finishing up pretty soon that'll help clean up some of these lings, but they're still just going to be so annoying because you can't throw down any additional tech without being scouted. He's not mining gas right now. There's just so many things delayed.
Yeah. Neeb goes for a second adept. I was going to say barely didn't have enough for a mothership core. Still seems okay not putting guys in a gas. There we go. Yeah, it was certainly annoying, but I guess he was still waiting on gas anyways to really throw something important down. Zealot and 2 adepts are going to make their way across the map. Certainly, if there's enough of them, I think 2 adepts and 1 zealot is enough, then you can force out a lot of lings and even do a bit of damage. So Snoot's got to respond. He's building lings now. At least speedlings eventually. The adepts are almost already here.
All right, well, Stu's trying to flood out as many lings as possible, but there just aren't any lings out right now. There's, 2 popping out. They aren't going to have speed for a little bit longer, and these adepts could get some pretty decent damage done.
Well, already the
even
lost
just
mining
off-
time.
Yeah, it's absolutely worth it already. Well, maybe able to get like 3 workers. No, 2 workers. Not too bad for Snute.
Yeah. You can see that takeaway from his drones, though, just instantly skyrockets Neeb economy up. And he is winning just slightly in that as well. Advantage. Gateway's finishing up. Stargate finally on the way. 2 more gases. Recovering from the little blip in his build order earlier. So is Snute, though. Equal workers just about.
Yep, Stargate finishes up, and Neeb is going to be making that Oracle to try and continue the pressure. That's where I think a lot of the damage is going to get dealt. The Adepts are kind of there to force out a big round of Lings to try and clean those guys up, but you also notice Snute doesn't have layer tech because he invested his early gas into getting up certain speed to help deal with the Adepts. All these kinds of random things that he's delayed is going to make it a lot harder to deal with things like the Oracle.
Thank you to Anton Caridian for the 37-month resub. And Celeste for the Twitch Prime sub. I got them all.
Got him.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we have a Phoenix follow-up over here from me. One thing I've always really wanted to see from Protoss players is that when they go for the Oracle, follow it up with like one Phoenix, and you don't even need to make more Phoenix, just literally clean up Overlords around the map. And is that what Neeb's gonna do? Seems like he makes one Phoenix and then just goes back to Oracle production.
Yeah, clean up the Overlords. Adepts are coming forward here. They do not have Resident Enclaves, but there are enough of them to certainly be scary. Snute doesn't have +1 on his Lings, near done, and no Banelings. His units did not catch these out of position, not catch them surrounded, but Neeb just dips in and dips right back out. Yeah, alrighty then.
Yeah, already just forcing out a lot of Lings. Again, Lair is still not finished up, so if you can just kind of continue to force out things that Snute doesn't want to make right now, it's going to be not too bad of a situation. Almost gets the Queen, one hit away from death, but gets transfused, going to survive a bit longer. The Oracle did move in and got one kill, but really not getting too much done so far. Where is the second Oracle? Okay, they're both joined together now.
Yeah. Looking for an open opportunity after all the Queens were pulled forward to deal with the Adepts. Ah! This Micros.
This is why every Protoss player gets 2 Oracles.
In case one dies. Yeah. Phoenix clearing up an Overload over here. And they get a Dovin Wolf with a 31-month resub. We have transferring out of Adepts into Immortals. Finally a Twilight Council.
That is a really late Twilight Council. I guess he wasn't getting +1 or anything for quite a bit of time, but really fast Temple Archives then.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it going to be for immediate charge Temple Archives, but it's really for both because he was banking enough. Third base completely saturated, all the gas is taken. Gateway's even coming up now. Snute already has an Infestation Pit on the way, and that's interesting. Last time we saw him in his EVP, I think, was against... No, not Hearthstone. No, I don't remember who it was against, but someone, he just went for, like, everything. Oh, it was Zake. There we go. He went for everything at once. He even got a Roach Swarm, but didn't really use it, but a Hydralisk Den, Infestation Pit, Ultra's Cavern, Greater Spire, all the things.
Yeah, Snoot's one of those Zerg players that I think, like Nurchio, if he gets an opportunity to, he just loves just straight shooting up to Hive Tech or straight shooting up to like crazy late game tech. And sometimes he gets punished for it. Sometimes he gets away with it, and his late game just looks insanely strong.
Well, this Oracle's gonna get a very nice revelation on the tech. Like everything's in here.
Yeah, even sees the Hive Tech starting up. If nothing else was giving it away. Okay, but 4th expansion comes down for Neeb. He still does have Immortals, he has Storm, he has Charge all coming out. He's setting himself up to be in a really good position to make a big push out right around the time Hive Tech starts up. Or sorry, finishes up, but right before any of the actual tech gets out. Before, you know, Snute gets a chance to make a Greater Spire or make a Ultralisk Cavern.
Yeah. It's usually not Protoss versus Zerg where you have that really significant timer clocking you, but it can happen. I would say that I would like it better if Neeb just let Snute come to him. I do believe that if you attack into someone with ultras, the higher chance they're going to be kind of derpy and useless, especially if that person has Immortals instead of crappy old Legacy of the Void Marauders. But it is Neeb who's pushing out here. He does have a Warp Prism, but it's used as a harassment tool, not to reinforce over here. So he's got to protect himself with the Storms and the Sentries.
Those are some good force fields. Traps in a lot of links. Just barely has a small little crack, so decent chunk of them flood out. Either way, though, it's a pretty good start for Neeb. Wants to make sure he doesn't lose too many units. And Storm going to be so strong versus this army.
Yeah. 31 Banelings. That's a lot. If they go down this choke, then maybe the Storms will just obliterate them.
Warp Prism in the main. Not quite able to finish that warp and had to cancel, I think, like 15, 20 Adepts warping in. Banelings coming in, but baits out a Storm. Not too bad. Usually it's not the Banelings baiting things out. Usually people are baiting the Banelings out.
Looks like things are going to get to that Hive Tech. And more specifically to Greater Spire versus Tempests. I said, like, Neeb, I mean, maybe he could have forced the issue, especially if he brought that War Prism over to reinforce offensively as opposed to just as a harassment tool. But I'm not really sure that's the safest way to play, even if it's something that you can force. I think the safest way to play is just let the Broodlords come to you, beat them a little bit in timing to those Tempests.
This is actually a little bit surprising to me. Neeb segments off 100% of his Zealots to the right, which is awesome for counterattacks, but that leaves his army very bare bones without anything in the melee front line. And oh my god, every single High Templar gets obliterated. All of the Zealots get surrounded. This has gone miserably for Neeb.
Yeah. I really just looked like a case of not tabbing correctly, if I want to say. Like, he had his eyes on the incoming army and then couldn't get the force fields. Instead, he just got the High Templar storms, which don't kill banelings fast enough. They're right in their face.
Yeah, there's a lot of spellcasters to control this army, and he does have a few stasis traps. Oh, that stasis trap may have bought him a little bit more time. If he can time this out with some good storms as the units try and move in between those Hydras, it's effectively like the most ideal storming choke point ever, but stasis trap unfortunately only lasts for 20 seconds.
Yeah, and he didn't want to risk the High Templars, so he just morphs them to Archon, so no storms for Neeb. What the hell? I thought that was a Phoenix.
Ooh.
Oops, a Daisy, but big charge out warp in the natural base is going to buy a lot of time. Lings come back to help defend against that. Banelings roll into the 4th base. Not too great of hits, and Neeb holds.
Yeah, the most important thing is that Neeb pulls back Snute's in, like, I would say 3/4 of his army. And I think that is what allows Neeb to stay alive a little bit longer. In fact, with all those Archons now, he can actually start to move across the map, put some pressure on. As long as he has a good choke point, that Warp Prism also keeping everything busy is going to get the Hydra Den.
Oh, yeah. Snute does instantly planet back down, but even some are loaded up back into that War Prism, continually a thorn in Snute's side. Mothership is on the way, upgrades as well. Snute had long since gotten to 2-2, and that does help against these Zealots. Kill them pretty quickly.
Oh, man, but Neeb, he needs those... I was going to say Tempest, but he starts up 3 Void Rays, not Tempest. He has the Fleet Beacon done.
Alright, well, he sees the Greater Spire, if that was in question.
Yeah, he absolutely 100% knows exactly what he's up against. You know, and one thing that's sort of deceptive right now is that the supplies are close to even, but Neeb has almost 30 more workers than Snute. He is 30 army supply down, and he does not exactly have the air army he needs to deal with the Broodlords just yet. He's getting there with the Void Rays, but even that gets a little bit dicey if he gets too close to the Hydras.
Yeah. So a lot to do with positioning. Snute's going to try and pull Neeb apart. Again, those Lings are pretty well upgraded. They don't have a Juno Glance yet, but they're at 2-2. So attacks off the left side is the real production killer potential, but it looks like both are thwarted.
Yeah, Mothership does a pretty good job of defending bases with just Cloak.
Yeah, kind of silly, but works out.
I can taste the salt right now. Oh god, the Broodlord's actually catching some of the Archons and the Immortals out in the open from the high ground. Really well done.
Zealots are cleaned up pretty easily, but again, distracting Snute's army, so his main one never really under fire. Into carriers we go, so no stops at Tempest Land. I wonder why.
You know, I guess maybe he just has a concern that Snute will have a really good economy or something and is able to flood out a crazy number of corruptors, at which point, yeah, if you just made a bunch of Tempest, it can actually be hard to make just the Tempest work. Especially if your opponent also has all those Hydras on the ground, the Banelings clean up your forces on your ground side. It gets a little bit weird, so I guess Neeb just feels comfortable saying, hey, if I can get to carrier like him, it's better than ever going into Tempest.
Yeah, I guess that is the idea behind all of this. It might just work out, too. He's got plasma, or regular plasma shields, whatever. He's got shield upgrades on the way. After all, he has a lot of Archons that will help the carriers as well, +2 air weapons, and he's facing the mighty army of Snutes right here, right now. But the storms are still available, Archons still available, Void Rays will demolish the Broodlords pretty quickly.
Yeah, maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I don't like how this army's engagement is going to go for Snute. I feel like he's going to have a really difficult time breaking this.
No, I agree. I think the there seems to be like, you know, a field of thought sometimes where if you get enough Broodlords, the Broodlings take out the ground army, and then your Ling Baneling Hydra army is still kind of effective, and that's that's still kind of like a questionable like per scenario thing anyways. And there's other one where just like you get like the decent amount of Broodlords, right, like 10 or less, but then you still have to deal with what is eventually a very large Protoss army, and it's like, okay, well if Broodlords can't help me, then what really does? Vipers could come out, feedbacks. Fungals could come out, feedbacks. Snute has done mass infestor responses to late game Protosses before, but that was not his plan this time. He was really hoping the amount of Broodlords would work for him, and they just simply didn't.
Yeah, and you can see that Snute just has to back up. He does still have a lot of Lings and Banelings, so he could maybe go after that expansion that's being taken. And one of the most effective ways, and I've got to say, like, the person who I've seen do this most effectively is Snute. Take out the economy, starve them out. It's a very long style and game that you have to play, but taking out 22 workers, you know, funny enough, not quite as damaging as you would think because Neeb still has 62.
Yeah.
But you keep going down that route, and eventually you do force your opponent to spend a lot more resources on their economy than they want to.
You just mentioned something, and I had flashbacks to their game on Invader. Kind of forgot these guys have played some pretty epically long ZVPs before that have ended in Neeb's favor. I guess I'll add in here as we watch this unfold. Maybe Snute's learns a couple of tricks. He's got Infestors out on the way out. He's still upgrading what he can. So is Neeb, however. He might deal with the Warp Prism, but there's always another one in the back pocket. The Robo isn't really being used at this point, except to make Warp Prisms, and they're only minerals.
We have a decent number of Infestors also pooling up in the bottom, the south side, which is a bit questionable because I think he's waiting for like a Warp Prism or something to come in, or maybe he's just actually trying to hide them for now, but he really may end up needing these for this engagement. The feedbacks are not.
Look how many Archons there are. There are 13 Archons and 7 High Templars, and those High Templars are basically full on energy. The Banelings crash in, but the Archons soak up most of them. Oh, there we go.
There's actually only 2 High Templars left over, though. Now the Infestors may be really effective over here, and you're actually starting to see Neeb's army disappear.
Yeah, his ground army's really not that impressive. The Voiders have all gone down. The Carriers, there's only 3 of them. The Mothership might just want to recall out of this before it's too late. The Corruptors come in. The Queens are coming in, too. She does recall. Oh, you don't get to go. You die, Carrier.
Neeb gets a base, but it's not exactly a heavily mining base. There's only 300 gas left on each of these gas geysers and 130 minerals, so not really a terrible loss. Snute immediately starts planting down creep tumors to keep that greater spire alive.
Yeah.
Very, very important to do.
Technical detail right there. Corruptor is going to help take out this Warp Prism. He doesn't want that pulling him back again. This Warp Prism has done at least 2 attacks that have pulled back Snute from a maybe not winnable position, but favorable position. So finally it's taken care of. And Neeb is back to not quite square one. Again, he did save some of his army, and he was already reinforcing back at home anyways. But that was a fight that went...
south.
Yeah, south for Neeb's army, but since Snute isn't on that usual, like, 7 bases dominating economy, it still was good for Neeb.
Yeah, I would actually definitely agree with that. The only kind of caveat is, again, I keep bringing this up, but Neeb has such a ridiculous number of workers, and it actually goes well with the style that he's playing, where he has all of these bases. Kind of like you were saying, the style that I would expect out of Snute is what we're seeing out of Neeb, where he's just mass expanding and is going to be getting up this huge bank and has a crazy number of workers. But that worker supply does cut into his army supply whenever this army gets maxed out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely... It's usually not just like a Snute problem, but like a Zerg problem in general. I feel like in Legacy of the Void, though, to be honest, every time I get to this stage, I'm always talking about how Zergs are usually the ones with like 80 or 90 drones and having that problem, or having a huge bank. And I feel like lately it's been the reverse, like every time I've watched it. So I'm definitely a little bit biased in ZVP, basically against the Zerg. I think the Zerg's gonna lose when it gets to this stage. But there's been some plays recently that have given hope. Neural parasiting, all the units looks pretty cool. Feedbacking with their own High Templar. Can't forget about that. That was cool yesterday.
Yeah, most definitely. You know what I really actually like about this, kind of the way that the expansions have started to be laid out for both these players also, is that, funny enough, Neeb can almost offensively recall if he just continues to push down over here at this bottom left, because if Snute ever tried to take that top right expansion that Neeb just actually took, Neeb could easily move his army down to the bottom side, threaten that expansion, recall up to the top right, and just go kill Snute's other expansion. Like, it's so difficult for Snute to expand on different sides of the map with this kind of army, especially with the spore crawlers and everything being a very important part of his army now. Neeb really just does have a lot of map control.
Yeah, he does. Oh, God.
Oh.
Try and go for Vipers, get slam dunked. I mean...
Well, Infestors, maybe?
Well, they have Revelation on them, so if they're not stormed, it should be feedback.
Yeah, Neural Parasite's still going down on a couple of these carriers. They're still actually alive. Somehow those Infestors are not dying, but the army for Snute is dying for sure.
This is the game over point. Snute doesn't have a Remax in him. Down half the army supply. It's all going to melt soon anyways. It's like Queen Scrubbers and Broodlords.
Well, actually, you know, a lot of these units are dying. No, the carriers just aren't going down, though. And I think that's one of the big problems. There aren't that many Interceptors left over. There's only 7 Interceptors, but I was thinking if there was a reflood max of Corruptor or something, but it's like you were saying before. Snute doesn't have the bank, and GG gets called. Neeb takes game number 2.
Oh, well, that was a 22-minute game. So, as they get game number 3 set up, Neeb ties it up 1-1, so game number 3 on the way. I'm going to take a break. Welcome back. I hit a game number 3 on Proxima. In the bottom left, as the blue Protoss, it is Neeb. And
his opponent spawning up in the top right. As you're not doing the camera rotations anymore. You've learned your lesson. But spawning up here in the top right, we have the red Zerg player from Liquid. It's Snute.
It breaks. I have a cat in my lap. There's no reason
You could still do the zoom in.
Oh, guys, watch out there. The fancy.
You know, you could actually be super fancy. You hit Shift Z, and then when you do the zoom in, you do Shift Z again and zoom in. And it'll do like an epic zoom in.
I can't. My keyboard hand is currently,
petting your cat.
Little bit. You guys should really. I mean, I wish I could show you guys. It's so cute. She's so lovey. Okay. So while we were on break, I mentioned to Ravi that last game started off with an early pool and a regame. So,
yes.
You know, Proxima Station.
Elongated 22-hour cast.
Exactly. Proxima Station, it could have been an early pool too, but obviously that doesn't mean squat. So I'm worried this game's going to be like 50 minutes. That'll be great for my voice.
So the funny thing is, I do feel like this map used to have a reputation as this is the map that every Protoss player is going to take a quick third on. They're going to cannon it up. And then they're going to go into mass Void Ray Carrier, Air Toss, Sky Toss, Golden Armada style, and it's going to force the Zerg player to play that macro game as well if they don't just try and all in. It suits the player who will try and play that macro game usually. So I feel like maybe like 3 months ago, 2 months ago, I would have 100% agreed. I feel like I've seen a lot less of those games, and it's usually because I see the Protoss players going for more of the charge lot or adept all-ins or like those kind of big attacks instead, more so than I end up seeing Protoss players go for like the Golden Armada, and I'm not entirely sure the reason why.
That I probably can't tell you, except maybe, well, because I was gonna counter with, I see a lot on Proxima from the Zerg player. I feel like I'm seeing a lot of Hydra busts basically. Just like getting to a pretty standard 3-4 bases, not much else happening because the Protoss player also takes advantage of Proxima and goes for 3 bases without doing very much. And then the Zerg player just kind of swamps with Ling Hydra around this, outside area of the 3rd base. And if you're going to go for the Golden Armada, then that's when you're really weak. You only have 2 or 3 carriers and maybe a mothership. So
I think that makes a lot of sense. The Hydra bust especially, I know Snute has been a huge fan of. And he's probably been, or at least for a while, was one of the more successful players with the kind of mass Hydra, kill the Protoss player before they get into too crazy of a late game style. Oh, nice control of the sling. Baits out the Adept Shade and gets out of there, only to die to another Adept. But, well, he confirms that a couple extra gateways going down. He sees the Oracle coming out, sees that everything is more or less what he would be expecting, I guess. And not seeing a Twilight Council early on is at least a little bit of a reveal.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a Stargate on Proxima. There's got to be a third base that follows suit. So
Yeah.
I don't think there's really a need to get updated scouting as the game goes on. Second Oracle is going to be on the way, but that is also not too surprising to see. The only thing Suit has to worry about is maybe 6 Adepts pairing up with those Oracles. And even then, Neeb has not been committing very hard with those. I feel like every game I've seen, he's been very conservative with his Shades, and his, figures going back is the better option.
Yeah, absolutely. So far, it looks like a pretty identical opening from Neeb last game, where he goes through the first Oracle, he gets up a Phoenix, he's probably going to get up the second Oracle immediately afterwards. Snute making a lot of Zerglings in preparation for the Adepts right now. I would think 22 Zerglings is a few more than I would expect for just 3 Adepts.
I think he's taking it very seriously because there's also 2 Oracles.
Yeah. That's definitely possible. Yeah, he's continuing to flood out 24 more lings. He's going up to almost 40, 50. This has gone past the point of I'm defending this.
Yeah, I think he really is planning on just swamping and then countering, which usually isn't too popular on Proxima.
Oh, and the Depth Shades don't finish up?
Yeah, well, this is what I was talking about. But Neeb, can he get back in time? Can he get into a good position at least?
He sees a lot of lings, so getting back into a good position for defense is going to be so important, but this also gives him more time. He reacts, he can warp in sentries, he can start getting up that wall in and prioritizing, maybe even cutting workers to get up that wall in. This gives Neeb a lot more capabilities, but he's laying on the force fields!
Oh god, those Adepts probably should have been in a much better location. He does force field the sentries in to save them, and while it looked terrible, Snute is forced to disengage without getting very much at all. 1 Adept.
That's insane. How did Neeb not lose any of the sentries? He only lost 1 Adept. Volcan Overcharge sure got baited out, but that was... I don't even know how that made sense.
That was crazy. I mean, Snute could have committed and at least made the units lost tab look a little bit better in that he killed anything at all of Neeb's, but then all of his lings would have died. So it was probably a better move, but damn, Neeb played that very safe, first of all, and very well, second of all. And Snute is going to regret maybe going for so many lings. Now, he was, 40 lings is a lot to make, but then he was back into droning. He's already up to almost 70 drones. But his attack was really unsuccessful. He doesn't already have a 4th base, which he probably would have had he not spent so much on the lings. And the game goes on for sure, but Neeb takes a bit of an advantage from that.
Yeah, and the Oracle Revelation from Neeb, well, it doesn't tag the Hydra Den, it tagged a queen that's standing next to the Hydra Den. So he scouts out the Hydralisk Den. And I think he's actually going to also scout out the Infestation Pit that just dropped down. Yeah, he sees the Infestation Pit that dropped down too.
Yeah, just before the Revelation wears off as well. Very nicely done. The Oracle's still alive too, so more Revelations will be going down. He knows where this attack is going, or this game is going, and that's important because the Infestation Pit really is the difference of being scared about a Hydra bust and realizing that the game might just go into Hive. So that's going to give Neeb maybe the feeling that he could deal some damage. He did move out in the last game once or twice, but didn't, really commit to it. And he might not in this game either. He has a 4th base that's about to be attacked as the rocks are getting broken down. He's not quite ready with Charge or Storm or +2. Snute's getting to Broodlords.
Yeah, Revelation was thrown down on top of that, or I think it was thrown down pretty close to the Hive. I swore I saw Revelation down somewhere, but either way, he's seen it coming. He knows that he has to make his move in pretty soon, but the rocks have been knocked down. Revelation was thrown down on some of these links, so he's going to see when they try and move in. And he's trying to keep his army positioned over by that 4th for exactly that reason, but he needs to get up that army ASAP. He needs to hit his timing, because we saw what happened in that last game if he doesn't hit his timing.
Super long game.
He was able to, okay, it's a little bit deceptive, right? He was able to bring it back off of some really good engagements, but he almost looked like he should have just died after the Broodlords came up, right?
Yeah, well, there was that point where there's like 15, well, not 15, but like 12 Broodlords.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
he was on the defensive. But that's a huge warp in, and that warp prism does not go down. In fact, it's going to live to get another warp in another day. Queen instantly goes down too. Chop the bits, and an attack at the gold base, the 4th base. It's open, actually. The army is just now moving back, but opportunity missed.
Yeah, I think you got to always be careful, especially when you move on to creep. You don't know how far back the army necessarily is, and there's not a lot of beef in this army right now for Neeb. He's effectively used all of his minerals to warp in those zealots for the harassment, so if he got caught out of position, he'd be relying almost entirely on just storms. And storms, they whittle away at banelings, they do not kill the banelings.
Yeah, exactly. And he would have, especially, even after killing the hatch especially, he would have been in like a huge concave area, so he probably would have gotten swamped. If he had a mothership core, that's when you go for it, but no, that's still at home defending, and now turning into a mothership as he adds on more Stargates, a fleet beacon, and starts to add on upgrades too. And Snute, I mean, he's gonna get to Broodlords again, but I think Neeb's got him beat in that department yet again. This might look very similar to last game.
Yeah, very well could, but well, we'll see. +2 weapons is finished up now for Neeb, and still waiting on that upgrade to finish up for Snute. It's actually like a minute away from finishing, but he engages a bit early. Stasis Trap also catches a lot of these Hydras and some of the Banelings. Oh god, catching Banelings in a Stasis Trap is actually the most awkward thing, because you want to go kill them, but at the same time, you really don't want to be near that.
Yeah, right? He's one of those charge lets to go forward, so he's gonna just put the Archons on the front lines. That will soak them all up. Even force fields them.
Handled.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't actually have much energy for force field anymore. He only had 3 sentries.
Reason to back off. I think he also used a bunch of charge lots up in the north. I didn't do very much. Another War Prism comes into that main base, and there's nothing to defend it, so a lot of charge lots. They have +2. So they the Queens go down instantly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's pushing at the other expansion, the gold expansion, at the same time. Sees that there are still a lot of Hydras over there, so decides not to commit into that. But, well, this isn't going too bad for Neeb just yet. But as that Broodlord count starts to climb, this is going to get dicier and dicier because Neeb really needs those carriers out ASAP. The Warp Prism does end up falling, and Neeb is going to commit into that goal. No, he decides to back up again.
Yeah, he's just being very, very cautious. How many blues do we have? Only the 2 that you see here. Spine Crawler, Spore Crawler is going to be put down as the game progresses, but Snute's in danger of losing a 4th base. He does have a 5th, and they both have very similar work accounts, but yet again, Neeb finds an easier expansion, and he's getting all the tools. Or I think Snute's still missing a couple.
I agree, but I also think this is a bit of a weird expansion for Neeb to take. I think once he gets up, maybe like 5 to 6 carriers, this expansion is going to make a lot of sense. But there's going to be this kind of period of vulnerability where I feel like this is a very forward expansion against a player who has his Broodlords already made and has a very short distance across the map to push. I mean, Snute can effectively defend his gold and push that expansion at the same time. And that's only really a problem until Neeb actually gets up his carrier count, but he's just barely short of it, I feel.
It's that dangerous point where maybe if the engagement really went well for the Zerg player, you would have regret just like because you're so close to being at a perfect count. But I think with that many High Templars, Neeb is feeling confident despite whatever carrier count it is.
Ooh. Okay, well there goes all the banelings. There's only 4 left.
That looks so like. I was gonna say like really BM, like that just looks stupid. Like there's a reason that Snute did that. It's usually a very smart reason, but Neeb just like slapped it away.
Well, Archons are starting to go down slowly but surely, but oh god, there's just nothing to protect the Broodlords anymore. Banelings that were being morphed in get stormed out, and Adepts do eventually get cleaned up. The Lings are trying to make their way back to protect the army. Oh, the Banelings almost get connections with the High Templar, but the Stasis Traps keep them alive.
Yeah, that was really close. There's definitely a problem there, as the Interceptors were the ones that was dying. He still had his carriers alive, but they had only 1 or 2 Interceptors apiece. The Hydras in the back were doing a good job ripping them apart. So, a hold, but a desperate one. Snute still is maxed out, although his army really doesn't feel like it. It felt like just the Brewers and the Corruptors. Phoenix is still scouting for potential warp-in locations, and Snute's not really got anything, so that could be devastating later on in the game. These 2 Oracles have been alive since the beginning, too. Constantly sent out revelations, constantly. with their stasis traps that have saved quite a few High Templar.
Yeah, and Snute is finally going in for some Ling counterattacks, and I really like this. I feel like Neeb, throughout this entire series so far, has always been the one that's sending out the charge lot counterattacks and doing a lot of damage. Snute has done maybe 1 or 2, but none of them have been all that effective. I feel like this may actually start to get some damage done and pull Neeb out of position.
That's not exactly what he needs to do, but it just cancels it and says, okay, take it. As he is pushing into the front base. Gold base is definitely going to go down at this point as Snute entirely retreats.
Yeah, Snute loses most of his Lings at the other expansion also, so doesn't exactly get a ton of damage done. He does kill the gold expansion going up, but Snute's going to do this, or Neeb's going to do the same thing to Snute.
Yeah.
And that's going to be it. No remax potential from Snute. Has to tap out. And Neeb takes the 2-1 lead in the best of 5.
Yeah. I don't know if late game's going to work out for Snute here. This is the first match of the group. So whoever wins this goes to the winners. Whoever loses go to the losers. They still have second chances. And the next map is going to be Honor Grounds. I'm going to take the breaks where I can find it. So see you guys in the lobbies up. Alright, it is game number 4 in Honor Grounds. In the bottom left is the blue Zerg, it is Liquid Snute.
And in the bottom right, we have the red Protoss player. It's Ting's Neeb. I saw you took a risk on Snute, and then you're like, oh god, actually, let's not do the camera rotations. Okay, so the series has gone in a sort of interesting direction, because as much as I think people will criticize Snute for trying to take a Protoss to the late game, oh man, who would be so foolish as to do that? Snute's tried to do like the early 12 pools and everything. He has gone for like the big Hydra armies. He's gone for Ling Floods, like in kind of like the early mid-game stages. I think he has tried to end the games earlier, but they just never seem to quite pan out perfectly. They kind of always leave him in a sort of even-ish position.
Yeah. Not quite good enough to make him feel good about the follow-up or just simply win the game. Now, it's horizontal spawn on Honor Grounds, but I'm not sure this is the way that Snute was hoping it would be. I think either way, it's still going to put you closer to your opponent, but I was thinking that maybe this is the time that you really throw out the true Ravager Roach all in and just hope that it works, because yeah, the late game isn't looking so hot.
Yeah, this definitely gets a little bit dicey. And the reason why Zombie Grove is talking about how this is not exactly the ideal positions for Snute is this map, while most maps in StarCraft with the 2-player spawns and everything, you kind of end up in like identical situations, like your base layout versus your opponent's is the same. On this map, Honor Grounds, there's something called rotational symmetry, and that means that your expansion locations, for example, for Snute, he's going to be expanding somewhat further away from Neeb, which is fine, but Neeb is also going to have really good access with a Warp Prism over to Snute's natural. He's going to have really good access, just push into Snute very, very easily, and that can be frustrating as a Zerg player.
And, you know, if the Zerg player wants to play that super aggressive style, which they had their ups and downs in the meta, honestly, of being the hyper-aggressive versus not the aggressive one, I think the, like, you know, flowing from this 3rd base to this 4th base to attacking this base that would have been Neeb's would have been preferable. But that's only if you want to be aggressive, which Snute usually isn't. We do have a lot of Lings once again coming out here. He got so close to dealing some damage, at least. Like, I don't know about game-ending damage, but some damage in the last game, and then Neebed and just, you know, whatever. So, I don't have to say much more about that.
Yeah, he just went literal god mode, and, you know, the same way that he won Austin, he was just like, okay, yeah, actually, I've decided I don't want to lose anything here, but Snute's really good, so he killed an Adept. Yeah,
exactly. So, I mean, that was a good idea from Snute, and like maybe a similar one here. Not as many Lings, but if that 3rd base had been put down kind of just like as a, almost like an afterthought, like, okay, this is part of my build, let's just put it down right now. That's where the Lings get on top of it instantly, and it's canceled instantly too, and that's a nice pick off. But Neeb's actually waiting quite a while, and even further than quite a while. 3 gateways, resonating glaives, within 2 stargates following that up.
This is gonna be a baneling bust from Snute. Maybe? No.
I think
he's sitting.
we're like, we keep calling it all these lings being built, right? Like, it's...
Yeah.
I always, like, look at this and I'm like, well, they could be busting, but I think it's more about kill the adept push, and then if you can bust, then take that opportunity to do it.
I think it's a better way of putting it, for sure. Double Stargate also coming up behind this for Neeb, so if that does happen, I don't know if Neeb will be entirely prepared, but we'll see how this goes first.
I like that. Snute kind of hid his lings in the brush. I thought Neeb had seen it in time to cancel the shade, but he decided to take the engagement anyways. He was still kind of against the wall, so I can see why, but all of his adepts die.
Yeah, that was actually a really good cleanup for Snute, and there may be actually an opportunity over here to at least cancel the third. There's only 1 pylon over there. 3 adepts get warped in. I'm sorry, Mothership Core, you cannot defend this.
Yeah, well, you know what?
Apparently you can.
Snute's not going to go for it. Thing is, if Snute engages on top of this, then he would have lost the majority of his lings, I guess, and he's not willing to commit to that. And then what if there were literally 3 more adepts about to be warped in? I think that was the concern.
Yeah, this is that moment where you have to realize that we have more vision than Snute does. Snute doesn't know that the follow-up is double Stargate, and that these lings aren't really going to be doing a whole lot anyways in the near future. There's not a bunch more gateways that were being plopped down. Resonating glaives is finished up, but we aren't having massive adept warp-ins. So even though it may have been actually worth it for Snute to cancel that 3rd expansion and delay Neeb a bit, Snute doesn't know that.
Yeah. And now the opportunity is definitely missed. So these lings are just going to have to try and maybe get a 4th base or you know, a couple of probe kills. So he should be a little suspicious. He ducked in again and saw that the same 3 adepts were there. And shouldn't that be like a little bit like, okay, well now I see all the oracles.
Yeah, 4 oracles is just that point where I'm like, Snute, have you been talking with Scarlet too much? But it does throw down the fleet beacon at the same time. Getting up +1 air weapons is going full Golden Armada style. Scouts out the 4th expansion. Actually could have killed that pretty quickly, to be honest.
Yeah, 4 oracles, a lot of damage. 4 oracles just looks super funny. Carriers, though.
Yeah, but hasn't activated Pulsar Beam or done anything with them just yet. Just continue to build up energy. Goes after some of the drones with the higher health oracles that haven't really lost their shields, and I guess gets some okay free damage. Throws down a revelation.
Well, Snute knows what it is, even if he hasn't seen the carriers on the way, so he is just trying to power up as much as possible. They just make like 20 drones. Yeah, it's up to 60, almost 70. Infestation Pit, they get a hive, your upgrades, get everything, but this means that while Snute is taking his sweet time to macro up, this gives Neeb his sweet time to get enough carriers and into high Templars, potentially.
Yeah, I do feel like Neeb has to do something with some of these adepts and the oracles, though, because he hasn't really he's gotten a lot of revelation value out of the oracles. He has not really halted Snute all that much. It's like you were saying before, Snute's kind of been playing a little bit greedy after identifying, yeah, you made all these oracles, so let me just try and tech up as fast as possible. I mean, we have Hive, Spire, Infestation Pit, upgrades for Banelings, and +1 missile, all going up at the same time. And Neeb is just, he's playing very conservative. And granted, he's going up to the big Doomsday Death Army for Protoss. But Snute invested a lot into those early lings, and I feel like he's been able to easily bounce back from that.
Oh, yeah. I do agree with that. And they're being used to at least some effect, breaking down rocks. They will get opportunities to attack into 4th and 5ths of Neeb as the game goes on. But it's definitely not ending anytime soon. Snute is looking for Broodlords and Corruptors and Infestors, and by the time he has a real late-game Zerg army, Neeb will also have a real late-game Protoss army. You know, it's this time right here that is probably the scariest when you don't have anything on the ground and not much in the air. Stasis Trap is popped, the other one not so much, but enough adepts to deal with it. Oh, just kidding.
Got the second one. He's gonna be able to call all those lings Zombie Grub. Do you know how many drones that could have been?
15 more?
I'm trying to remember. I'm on the WCS mod overlay, and I'm trying to remember how many are in each row.
Go away. Oh, well. Anyway, Snute's already got 77 drones. I don't think he needs any more.
Yeah, mostly just joking. I'm trying to meme.
Are you, though? I don't think you are.
No. I'm not much of a memer.
No,
But we do
you're
have a
not
lot of infestors out now. Like, not just kind of light numbers. We have a lot of infestors out. Going up to 10. I think just 8 for now. But, you know, a Parasite, Ultraless Cavern on top of the fact that there is a Spire. But here's a funny thing. We don't have a Greater Spire on the way. Because he's researching upgrades for his Spire. So he can't make a Greater Spire.
Did he cancel? I could have sworn I saw one on the way production tab.
Well, you know, it'd be really nice if he actually had, like, those Corruptors out right now. He's starting to make them because he's losing his natural to just a light harassment force. This is going to recall out the moment things get dicey. Neuroparasite actually could turn this around potentially and really punish him, but looks like Insei's just going to go for Ling counterattacks. Kills off a couple of High Templar.
Oh, not bad. Thought they were depths. A Templar's pretty good for Lings. But that was... I mean, it's just going to be a serious... what is he going to do about this? He just not take his natural? I guess so. As the carriers will always threaten just sending their interceptors over there. They can't release their interceptors anymore. But with the high ground like it is, then it might be an option. Viper's going to be coming in here, and I guess that will definitely stop us in its tracks. Corruptors and Vipers to abduct them. Because the High Templars can't reach over this.
Yeah, there also aren't actually many Void Raids. There's only 3 Void Rays out right now, and Neeb also halted Stargate production. I can't tell if he's just waiting for resources. No, he does have the gas for making another carrier, but he's not doing anything with the money. It really does make me wonder, is Neeb just transitioning out from Golden Armada?
Maybe transitioning out is not quite the right word, but rounding it out with a better ground army, I guess.
Yeah, I would sort of understand and feel that a bit more if he had more than 3 Void Rays, if he had more than just 4 carriers. I feel like even 1 more carrier, 5 carriers is when I start to feel comfortable about carrier count. 6 to 7 Void is when I start to feel good about Void Ray count. But I actually think that if Snute just pumps out a crazy number of Corruptors, he could actually do really well in this kind of engagement.
Yeah, he doesn't really have a lot of Corruptors. 5.
Yeah.
But he has 16 Queens. He has Ultras, which look a little silly, considering we've been talking a lot about the air army, but if they can get through to the High Templars and take them out of the equation, then it's absolutely worth. And there's gonna be everlasting armies here. Oh, that was close.
Nice recall. Depth also with some Zealots moving to the gold expansion. Gonna try and get some damage done. Should be cleaned up, but it's a bit of a distractionary tactic, so Neeb buys himself a little bit more time to get another round of Warpins.
I don't know, man. I am really question marking as well. Going back to the whole, like, kind of transitioning out almost. You know, he's got 2 more Robos, total of 3. He's getting his Immortal count. This is stuff that you would already have most of the time on the ground. But it's not like it's a... I mean, like, necessity is a strong word. Like, you want something on the ground usually. Storms, I'm thinking of, really. But Immortals can help against the Ultras, and Archons can help with everything, basically. So it's not wrong to get something on the ground, but I would feel like if you could, Protoss players would literally just get mass Void Ray carrier with a mothership and try and protect the High Templars with Cloak. But that's not what Neeb's trying to do. Neeb is going back into some ground army.
I wonder if this is like an honor ground specific thing. If Neeb feels like if the game continues to go on, his bases are just going to get much more spread out because it's such a big map. Like, I'm really, really wondering what is kind of going through Neeb's head through this thought process. He's going to continue to throw down the Revelations, keep an eye out on the army, but it's also worth noting, Snute, he didn't just stop at +1 air weapons or +2. He's going for +3 air weapons before going to his Greater Spire. Also, kind of funny, Snute is the only person I have ever seen who uses his Infestation Pit to get energy on his Vipers with, instead of his Extractors or anything else.
Yeah, I think he realized what was happening. Yeah, I'm surprised that since he did try and go into heavy upgrades, he canceled the +3, by the way, for a Greater Spire.
Yeah.
That he didn't just get a second Spire. I mean, he's not exactly banking tons of money, but he does have enough for a second Spire.
Okay, well, I really do like Snute's expansion play in this game compared to the others. I know that this is a very different map than, say, Abyssal Reef and everything, but the fact that he's expanding so much more is also very difficult for Neeb to deal with. It's not easy for Neeb to send his entire force up to these top left-hand locations. Now, Lings also have a hard time dealing with just the pure Zealots, and, well, Snute has to deal with those another way. But Ultras are actually pretty mobile units, so they can react pretty quickly to this kind of Zealot and Adept counterattacks.
Yeah, they're not well upgraded, though, so...
Yeah.
If the Zealots were any more well upgraded, they'd be taking on those Ultras. That is a lot of infestors,
Okay.
but Revelation very key here.
Where's the army for Snute?
Well, it's a good thing for Neeb
Okay.
that it wasn't entirely in position, because that fungal could have been brutal, but this is something that I see like a lot of other Protosses miss when they get to this point, and I'm like, I think you have an almost unbeatable army if you just would get one or two things. I'm really glad to see that Neeb is getting, okay, hold your horses, that Neeb is getting constant revelations on the infestors especially, because that seems to be what's missing a lot of the times. The Zerg does get that prime engagement is because the infestors weren't detected, but okay, you can talk about it now.
Blink DTs is coming out right now for Neeb. He's warped in a handful of DTs, and I actually really like this, not just because I am obsessed with Blink DTs, but because that is another bit of attack and harassment that he can put on with low army supply commitments, and he can take out these very far out expansions. This makes it a lot harder for just Ultras or, you know, a handful of small units to actually deal with this army, and there's nothing that can deal with this right now. He has to send an insane number of units up here, and he also send the Overseers as well.
Yeah.
Touching the DTs. Oh, that's actually really cute. He delays the damage.
Oh. That sucks. Like, Snute just doesn't want to have the time to rebuild that. I think it's a little bit less about the 300 minerals. And it's because Queens were like, they were being lazy. They could have come transfused it.
Zealot warping in the main base, also for Snute at the same time that engagement is being teased at. Parasitic bombs also going down on top of the main army. Mothership Core gets a neuroparasited, but after the recall already goes off, so loses it.
I can always tell because the neuroparasite bugs out for a second.
Yeah, the Zealots managed to take out the what was that? I thought it was an infestation pit, but no, it was the Ultra Cavern. He takes out the Ultra Cavern.
Okay, I'm not sure Snute wanted to rebuild any more, just the right amount to take out the ground army or the High Templars specifically, but that might.
Oh my God!
Bite him later.
He's warping in the main base.
Oh my God, Carrier's so loud. I get it.
All right. Okay, well, DTs are going to be able to snipe the Hive at the same time this engagement is going down. A couple of neuroparasites going off on top of the Void Rays, pulling up some of the carriers, but all of the tech, all of the reproduction capabilities for Snute are going to be taken out. He is going to have a completely neutered Remax because he's losing everything. He can't. Very soon he's going to lose the Greater Spire. Literally, can he make anything? He doesn't even have a spawning pool right now, Zombie Garb. All he has is Infestation Pit. Once he loses the Infestation Pit, he's going to only be able to make drones? That's all he can make. He can only make drones.
Oh God. Oh, this is bad news. He already pre-built another lair, I guess, when he realized the Hive was going to go down, but he's going to lose upgrades as well. This is just absolutely terrible. And what is just like salt. It's like salt in the wound.
He's not even making anything.
Oh God, he hasn't realized it. But he also like kind of failed on the front too. Like there's so many neuroparasites. Those things are so loud in my ears. But he didn't have any follow-up, and then eventually these infestors didn't have any energy. It's not that Neeb like continued to commit to the attack. He just kind of let it happen, and Snute ran out of steam. This is so silly. And we just watched DT's blink, by the way, so like 1 of 2 times we've seen it used. Great job.
Hey, they escape from those Ultras. They're gonna escape from them again if Neeb controls them. Oh God, now we realize it's throw down the Spire, the spawning pool, the Infestation Pit, which at least he can throw that down, but Zealot counterattack on the top left, also doing a lot of damage, but oh God. The Transfuse is not gonna let this hatchery die. Snute has had enough of that.
Oh no. I mean, I really thought that the main engagement over here was gonna go well. I mean, he had everything in place. I think he even had the queens, but they weren't transfusing because his army really wasn't being attacked. It was just being, it was like letting itself just like run out of steam. He didn't mind that he was getting all of his carriers assimilated into the Zerg army. He was like, I'll get them later. It'll be fine. Oh, DTs take out the queens. I mean, they're transfusing like hell, but it's hard to transfuse against DTs.
Yeah, DTs have... That's the thing. You have to remember, DTs with +3 weapons do 60 damage a swipe. It makes it really difficult if all the DTs are attacking at the same time on a queen to actually transfuse in time, because you have maybe 0.2 to 0.3 seconds to actually get that transfuse off. Oh! gets a recall off before the Parasite can do a whole lot, but this is a good engagement for Snute, I think.
Yeah, a ton of feedbacks go down, kill all his Vipers, but he does have a lot of Infestors left over, and he does successfully take out a good portion of Neeb's army, but Neeb is banking as well and could just... I mean, he's not going to remax instantly, but he's already on his way to 3 more carriers, and a ton of charge outs just warped in to take care of Snute's economy.
Yeah, Ultras care not for the stasis traps. They can set them off, and they are unimpaired by anything that affects movement. So they're going to continue to go or move around. But oh god, the Zealot counterattack in the top left. Round 2 comes in, taking out all the defenses, and are going to be able to take out that hatchery in time. These Infestors can't do anything about it.
Yeah, all the drones are transferring and look so dangerous. And they are dying. Okay. 15 are going to go down. Does Neeb know about that very, very top left? No, he does not, but he might figure it out anyways in his own mind. Warpism still available, but there's nothing to attack in here. A single DT swarped in. It's got to go to the 3rd base to do anything.
Yep. Well, that one DT. It's going to be able to deny an expansion, maybe? A re-expansion of that natural for all... Well, there's actually a decent amount of gas on that expansion.
Yeah, that's worth taking again, but he just can't defend it from... Well, as you see, War Prism, but also maybe the carriers.
2 more DTs.
Yeah, that's going to be canceled or killed. This one's going to get a lot of drones.
The drones being killed is actually a big deal because right now, Snute really wants to spend his bank on remaxing and having to spend any of it on reproducing these drones because the drone count has gotten lower. Losing all those drones at the top left, losing some more over here, losing the expansion, I believe, without a cancel. All of these do cost minerals, and they add up. You can see Neeb's bank, which was lower than Snute's not long ago, is now a decent bit higher.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Snute has the bank that he does, to be honest. Check the income graph, and Neeb has been... It's been a steady climb, funny enough.
It's because he lost all of his production capabilities, so he wasn't making anything for a while.
Yeah. Neeb also just made like 4 more Stargates somewhere, so he has a ton of production for both ground and air. He has taken most of the bases up to the north. I mean, you haven't really checked back on Neeb's base because all of the action has been Snute defending Neeb's attacks. There's been no Ling attack since the first 3 bases have been taken in this game. So many fucking Infestors. Oh my god.
Okay, DT's continuing to do some more harassment. The top left, pulling all of the Corruptors, the Infestors, everything up there. Oh my god, this DT warping. Oh my god, make it happen. Make it happen. Please blink on that Spore Crawler.
Did Snute not notice? Oh, he could have fungled so many. That's going to go down. That is dead. He's responding to the army.
You can't react to DTs if they kill everything in one shot.
Fear Dragon way. Of course.
Fear Dragon way. Neeb's making me so proud right now. But he's also just killing off all of the tech again that was sitting in the 3rd expansion of Snute. Yeah. It continues to push on forward. I don't even know if Snute can take an army engagement, much less try and win the game, but he does have an equal army supply. He has to win this engagement if he wants any chance in this game.
I don't even know what to say. He does. He's down 60, almost 60 drones. Carriers go, or Ultras go forward, but just get killed, and Sute's going to tap out before the main engagement. We never get to see what 20 Infestors can do. Fight versus this army. Womp womp.
And that's a 3-1 for Neeb. He takes the series and goes on to the winners match. Damn. That was a pretty long series.
Yes, it was. It's going to be Cyril Buell next. I gotta go to NA for that. But groups A and B, so the 2 groups after this, are starting. Both of them are starting in like, I want to say 2 hours, I think. 8:30 CST, whatever that is. So we might start diversifying the casters split up, and that's also going to mess with where I transition over with Rifkin. So I'll figure that out while we go to a break. Select other players to get the vetoes and all that. So see ya in a bit.